three types of people at every opening night of a casino. The first are celebrities, okay? The second are card counters like myself, okay? And the reason is because it's a new casino, and the last thing they're worrying about on the opening night is card counters. They're worried about, whether their dealers are paying people correctly and whether they're able to, make sure that they're not, giving away money the wrong way or something. But the third type of person, anyone guess what it is? Just yell it out. I can't hear anyone. It was I was at a real estate conference. I always ask this question to start off with, and I was at a real estate conference in Orange County, and I've never heard someone yell out the answer quicker than they did here. A woman from the back row, as soon as I said this, yells out, "Hookers!" So yeah, celebrities, card counters, and prostitutes. And this day was just like any other day. We're at the Bellagio, and Kevin Costner rolls up to my table. And he rolls up with his crew of friends. And if Kevin were a rapper, this would have been his posse. But since Kevin is not, it's just his crew of white friends. And they come up to me and sit down at the table, and they start playing Blackjack. And Kevin is a pretty good Blackjack player, meaning he just does the right thing mathematically. And then he starts to lose. And every hand he loses, his friends look at him and say, "God, this is just like Waterworld all over again." But my defining moment really comes from a place very close to here, Caesar's Palace. How that all came about or how that all happened, I'll explain later, but I was there counting cards and playing with lots of money. And I went into this table, and I still remember exactly, if you guys want to do a field trip later, I can show you the exact table that this happened at. I sat down on the table, and the math called for me to bet two hands at $10,000. So I bet two hands at $10,000. I got an 11 on one and a pair of nines on the other. So if anyone has been paying attention, the 11 we've got a double. So I put another $10,000 out, and the nines I split. I got a 2 on the 9, first one, so I double again. And then I think I got a 10 on the 9 to make 19. Okay? Dealer has like a 6 up, I think. I got $50,000 out on the table. All right? Dealer flips a 5 to make 11. And then you all know what happens next. Gets a 10 to make 21. So there I lose $50,000. I hear a woman behind me shriek. She says, "Oh my God, that's my entire mortgage." And I wanted to turn around and say, "Well, you don't live in the Bay Area because that would be a cardboard box in the Tenderloin." But the math, and again, we're using math here. The math called for me to bet another, 3 hands at $10,000. And it was really, like I said, one of those moments, that you wonder how you got here. So on those 3 hands, I got a 9, a 19, and a soft 15 against the dealer's 5. And basic strategy says double the 9, double the soft 15. So what do I have on the table again? $50,000. So here's my chance. Make it all back or be down $100,000. 2 of those women's houses. The dealer flips a 10 to make 15. Math works. Dealer gets a 6 to make 21. Maybe math doesn't work. I left the table and went up to my room at Caesars. I was crushed. I was 22 years old. I just lost $100,000 in the period of about probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Laid down on the floor in the room, looked up at the ceiling, wondered to myself why there was a mirror up there, and then thought to myself, maybe this doesn't work. Maybe this whole thing doesn't work. And I gave myself a pep talk. And I said, it does work. You can sit there in an Excel spreadsheet and explain how it works. And you know that it's all math. I went back down and played and kept playing that whole weekend. And for the weekend, ended up winning $70,000. Total, net. If I had won those two hands, I would have won over $250,000. But if I'd quit, would have lost $100,000, would never have had a book or a movie made about me, and wouldn't be talking to you guys here right now. Blackjack is the only game in the casino with a memory. It's the only game subject to continuous probability, meaning what you see impacts what you're going to see. Okay, now, again, intelligent people in this room understand math, rational. But I guarantee you there's someone in here or somebody's friend in here that has once seen a roulette wheel and seen 7 reds in a row and run up to that roulette wheel and said, all right, black's coming up next. That's BS, right? Every spin of the roulette wheel is a different spin. It's independent. The same thing is true of dice, right? If you roll 4 7s in a row or 2 11s in a row, the chances of another 11 or another 7 coming up haven't changed. But blackjack is totally different, right? Blackjack, if I hand you a deck of cards, and before I hand you that deck, I take all 4 aces out of that deck of cards, and I say, what's the probability or what's the chance of you getting blackjack right now? It's 0, right? There's no aces, there's no blackjack. And this is if you don't understand what this is, fish have no memory, and elephants do. So this is fish having memory, and elephants not having a memory, as like the games. So what were the non-blackjack lessons that I learned? Well, the first, can anyone tell me what these 2 are? Teamwork and trust. Okay, now these are so obvious, right? These are obvious things that are important for a business. But imagine this, I hand you $100,000, okay, and say, go win me some money in Vegas. And it's $100,000 in cash. There's no auditor following you from table to table, all right? When people ask us, how did you guys recruit, what was the most important thing? People always think it was intelligence or how smart they were. It wasn't. It was how trustworthy they were. Another aspect of this trust that I'm talking about is the trust in the data or the trust that whomever you're working with is doing their job effectively. All right, I walk up to a table and have to trust what the player is telling me is the count, and then I make $100,000 decisions based on that. All right, think about that in your job. Like, I've worked for startups and started 2 or 3 companies, and when you go from being the single entrepreneur at a company to all of a sudden having employees that are doing what you used to do, if you don't trust them to do their job effectively, you're never going to grow as a business. The importance of the numbers and the importance of analytics in something like sports really, captured my fancy. So I started thinking a lot more about, like, how would I do this, or what is the process that I would go through to do this? And one of the most interesting things, I was reading an article, it was a report actually, from Gartner, and they interviewed a bunch of CIOs in 2007, and what CIOs believed was their most important agenda was business intelligence. That was the most important thing for them to prove. But yet only 36% of them believed that their company or their management was actually looking at the correct data. Right? So it's important, okay, as you think about this stuff, to understand data and to even talk to someone who doesn't like data to make sure you're looking at the right data. So we had a company that we started. Bill Walsh was our football genius. Billy Beane was our baseball genius. We needed a basketball genius. Okay? Can anyone guess who that was? John Starks. No. Close. Well, his picture's right there. Jerry West. So I flew down to Memphis and met with Jerry West, sat across his office table from him, looks at me and he goes, boy, first words out of his mouth, I swear to God, boy, I hate statistics. And I looked at him and said, wow, well, this is going to be a fun 2 hours. Do you know any place I can go get barbecue? But we spent 2 hours together and talked through what he meant. And he didn't mean he hated statistics. He hated the way people in his organization or people in the sport were using statistics. He hated the fact that people think Allen Iverson's a good player, even though he needs 30 shots to score 30 points. And so by the end of this conversation with Jerry West, he was saying things to me like, yeah, you're right. I don't think we should measure all rebounds the same. A rebound off a free throw is not nearly as valuable as a offensive rebound that gives us another possession. An assist that leads to a jump shot is not nearly as valuable as an assist that leads to a dunk. So what Jerry meant was that he just wanted to use data in a better way, which is what we all want. But getting a window into his life and understanding that is one way to help sort of sanity check what you're using for data.